Trump believed he could out-talk Obama on live television, but by the time the third question landed, he realized he'd stepped into a masterclass in calm dismantling. The energy that night felt electric, not because of weather, but because one man held a microphone. Donald Trump had just done what almost no one expected. He openly challenged Barack Obama to a live, unfiltered debate. No teleprompters. No screened questions. Just two men, face to face, in front of the entire country. The moment unfolded at a rally in Tampa, Florida. Cameras captured everything. Trump stood at the podium, waving a sheet of paper and grinning like he'd already claimed victory. "Let's see if Obama can handle a real debate," he shouted. No scripts, no handlers, just me and him, man to man. The crowd exploded. Phones shot up. Within minutes, clips flooded Twitter, TikTok, and every political feed imaginable. News anchors scrambled to verify the challenge. For once, Trump wasn't bluffing, he meant every word. By midnight, hashtags like Trump versus Obama Live were trending worldwide. Late-night panels argued over whether Obama would even respond. Some said he'd ignore it. Others said he'd accept it just to shut Trump down for good. Then morning came, and Obama posted 12 simple words that shifted the country. "If the American people want clarity, I'm happy to provide it." No all caps. No emojis. Just steady confidence. Cable networks broke into regular programming to announce the update. By noon, both teams were negotiating the details. The White House Correspondents Association offered to host it in Washington, D.C., at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Every major network would carry it live, alongside every streaming platform. Within 48 hours, the country was split, not by party, but by pure curiosity. Some were eager to watch Trump dominate without filters. Others waited for Obama's precision to cut through the noise. Behind the scenes, both camps scrambled. Trump's team focused on visuals, lighting, staging, camera angles that made him appear larger than life. His social media manager crafted posts painting him as the fearless challenger. One read, "They say he's untouchable. I say he's untested." Obama's team, meanwhile, kept things quiet. No hype. No headlines. He met privately with a handful of longtime advisors in Georgetown. No consultants, no amplifiers. Just briefing folders and a long legal pad filled with his own handwritten notes. "This isn't about performance," he told one of them. "It's about truth and discipline." The media devoured every development. For a week, networks ran countdowns. Memes, predictions, mock posters, they filled every corner of the internet. Ticket demand shattered previous records. Journalists, influencers, political figures, even celebrities called in favors to get a seat, but beneath the spectacle, something more meaningful was happening. People were talking about leadership again. Not slogans. Not team colors. But how a leader should make them feel. In barbershops, diners, and living rooms, Americans debated who embodied real strength. The man who shouted, or the man who listened. The morning of the debate arrived, and Washington buzzed with nervous excitement. Streets around the convention center were closed. Secret Service agents moved discreetly through crowds. News vans lined the sidewalks. Protesters on both sides waved signs, red, blue, and everything in between, but everyone shared one thing, anticipation. Inside the green rooms, the contrast was unmistakable. Trump stood surrounded by advisors, stylists, cameras, rehearsing punchlines as he paced in front of mirrors. "I'm going to crush him," he said loudly. "He won't know what hit him." A few rooms away, Obama sat alone with a cup of tea and a stack of handwritten notes. He wasn't rehearsing, he was thinking. A muted television showed aerial shots of the packed arena. He gave a small, knowing smile. "You can't control the noise," he murmured. "But you can control how you respond to it." When a production assistant knocked to say it was time, he stood, buttoned his jacket, and whispered something no one else heard. As the doors opened, the two men walked toward the stage from opposite sides of the building. The lights dimmed. The audience roared. No moderators. No teleprompters. Just Trump and Obama stepping into a moment neither could escape, but no one, not the advisors, not the crowd, not even Trump himself, could have predicted how quickly confidence would unravel into chaos. Across the country, every screen, from Detroit barbershops to Austin cafes, flashed countdown clocks and dramatic headlines about the political showdown of the decade. Networks treated it like the Super Bowl. Anchors practiced opening lines. Commentators replayed old footage of the two men, comparing gestures, tone, posture, like they were analyzing fighters before a heavyweight bout, but while the noise grew louder, something more subtle unfolded. Their preparations had taken two entirely different paths, one built on spectacle, the other on substance. Trump's headquarters resembled a TV production set. Bright lights. Stacks of cue cards. Screens looping his most viral rally moments. His campaign manager, Victor Haynes, paced with a tablet. "We go big," he said. "Confidence is the message. Volume is victory." Trump nodded, barely listening as he adjusted his red tie. "People don't care about facts, Victor. They care about energy. I'll make him look slow. Weak. Out of touch." His advisors chuckled, nervously, because disagreeing wasn't safe. Every session ended the same, Trump rehearsing zingers, not policy. His goal wasn't persuasion. It was domination. Across town, Obama's preparation couldn't have been more different. In a small DuPont Circle townhouse, he met quietly with a handful of aides. No cameras. No leaks. Just focus. A whiteboard covered in statistics stood by the wall. At the top, a single line was written: "When they go low, you go steady." Lydia Brooks, his chief researcher, looked up from her files. "He's going to try to bait you," she warned. "He'll interrupt, exaggerate, maybe even go after your family. He wants a reaction, not a discussion," one advisor muttered. Obama leaned back, fingertips pressed together. "That's fine," he said calmly. "Because I'm not debating for him. I'm debating for the people at home who are exhausted by all the shouting." He had that professor-like calm, the same demeanor that frustrated critics and reassured supporters. Every word was deliberate, every pause intentional. Still, even his closest aides could feel the stakes rising far higher than anyone wanted to admit. By Thursday, early polls predicted record-breaking viewership. Streaming platforms braced for massive spikes. Celebrities tweeted their support. Late-night shows ran parody debates with impersonators. Even people who swore they didn't care about politics announced they'd just tune in for a minute. Backstage logistics quickly became a battleground. Trump's team insisted on a bigger podium, brighter lights, and a tighter camera shot. Obama's team didn't push back. They accepted every request. "If he wants the spotlight," Obama said, "let him have it." Then he added, "I'll take the quiet." Producers were stunned by how composed he was. "You don't seem nervous," one remarked during a sound check. Obama gave a small smile. "Nerves are for people who think they can control the room. I'm just here to tell the truth." The calm rattled even the tech crew. They whispered about him backstage, how he hardly spoke, how he moved with the steady focus of a surgeon preparing for a delicate procedure. By Friday night, Washington felt like it was holding its breath. Thousands camped outside the convention center just to catch a glimpse of either man. Vendors sold shirts reading, "Round 1." Street performers impersonated both candidates. Inside, cameras hummed, lights blazed, and reporters packed every inch of the building. The air itself felt charged, not angry, just expectant. The final run-through took place in near silence. 2 chairs. 2 microphones. A single clock counting down. Obama stood for a long moment, silently studying the empty podium opposite his. No smile. No words. Just a slow exhale. "People mistake noise for strength," he said quietly. "But sometimes, strength is composure." Outside, Trump's campaign manager Victor Haynes gave one last pep talk. "Don't let him finish. Keep him off balance. Make it clear you're in control. Trump smirked. I am control, he said, straightening his tie. Watch and learn. As the countdown hit the 1-hour mark, media outlets went live worldwide. Helicopters hovered over downtown D.C. Streets around the convention center glowed under floodlights. Inside, the shuffle of papers and mic checks echoed through the hall. Obama arrived first, slipping in through the back corridor with almost no attention. He greeted a few crew members and paused at the curtain, listening to the swelling roar outside. He didn't look anxious, he looked present. Trump arrived minutes later, cameras tracking his every step. His entrance felt theatrical, like a boxer walking into a title match. Supporters waved flags. His trademark smirk didn't budge. 2 men. 2 worlds. 2 philosophies walking toward the same stage. Technicians ran one last audio test. A producer whispered to the camera team, "We're live in 30 seconds." And at that moment, the 2 stood just feet apart, separated only by a black curtain. They couldn't see each other, but they could hear the crowd, the cheers, the jeers, the pressure of history. Obama closed his eyes briefly. Steady, he whispered. Trump adjusted his cuffs and grinned. Let's make TV gold. But once the lights snapped on and the mics activated, the stage stopped being about theatrics. It became about truth. The Walter E. Washington Convention Center had never looked like this. It wasn't a political event, it was a clash. Every seat was filled, journalists, former aides, college students waving signs. Networks had flown anchors from every time zone. The tension was so thick, even the temperature seemed to climb with the noise. 2 podiums faced each other under stark white light. No moderator's desk. No tables. Just open space between them. Behind them, a massive American flag stretched across the screen. No logos, no slogans, just red, white, and blue. Producers kept the introduction simple, a calm voice, a wide shot of the crowd, then silence. No opening speeches. No applause cues. Just the echo of footsteps as the 2 men walked onto the stage from opposite wings. Trump entered first, waving and smiling, his familiar swagger filling the room. The crowd erupted, half cheers, half boos. He soaked it in, pointing at supporters, feeding off the noise. When he reached his podium, he paused and waited. Obama followed moments later. No theatrics. No wave. Just steady steps, a brief scan of the room, acknowledging everyone and no one. The applause shifted, not loud, but measured, almost respectful. He gave Trump a polite nod. Trump half extended a handshake, then withdrew it before Obama reached him. The audience saw it. The cameras caught it. Silence settled for a few seconds, nothing but the soft hum of microphones. Obama looked across the stage, face unreadable. Trump leaned forward with a smirk. "Well, Barack," he said, "looks like you finally decided to show up." A ripple of laughter moved through the audience. Obama didn't answer right away. He adjusted the microphone and replied in an even tone, "I was invited." It wasn't the sentence, it was the delivery. Steady. Controlled. Almost surgical. Trump blinked, thrown off for half a second, then forced out a loud laugh. "Let's make this fun," he said. "No scripts, right? Let's talk results." Obama gave a simple nod. "That's exactly why I'm here." The first question lit up on the giant screen behind them. "What defines effective leadership in America today?" Trump jumped in before the words finished scrolling. "Leadership is strength," he boomed. "You've got to project it. You can't worry about offending people. No hesitation. Act fast. Make deals. Win." Applause burst out from his side of the room. He pointed at Obama. "This guy talks. I do things. That's the difference." Obama listened without interruption, hands folded loosely on his podium. When Trump finished, he didn't rush his reply. He took a slow breath. "Leadership," he said, "isn't about speed or volume. It's about judgment. Anyone can act quickly. Real leaders pause long enough to understand what they're actually doing before they do it. The crowd murmured. Trump rolled his eyes. There he goes, classic Obama. Too many words. Not enough action. Obama's smile was small, almost amused. Words matter, Donald. They're how leaders tell the truth. A wave of applause built, slow at first, then louder. Trump's grin stiffened as he cut through the clapping with a raised hand. Let's not pretend 8 years of talking fixed this country. Obama leaned forward, calm as ever. 8 years of thinking prevented a lot of disasters. Something flickered across Trump's face, irritation, maybe. Cameras zoomed in. Twitter exploded, people posting clips titled "First Hit Landed" or "Obama 1, Trump 0." Then the next question, what is the single most important quality in a president? Trump struck first again, confidence. Standing tall. Never backing down. That's why people trust me. I don't apologize. Obama let the silence stretch before responding. Confidence matters, he said, but humility keeps it honest. Without it, you stop learning. You start believing you're always right. The reaction this time was louder. Even the camera crew leaned subconsciously toward Obama's side of the stage. Trump snapped back. You? Talking about humility? With your speeches, your books, your Netflix deals. Obama's eyes narrowed just a fraction. Donald, he said quietly, you're confusing visibility with vanity. The audience gasped, a low, collective "oh" rolling through the room. Trump laughed, but it came out strained. You've been rehearsing that one. Obama shook his head. I don't rehearse honesty. The line didn't land loudly. It landed heavily. A weight settled over the room. Reporters exchanged looks. From the press box, someone whispered, this isn't a debate, it's an autopsy. Backstage, Trump's campaign manager clenched his fists. He's shrinking him, he growled. Online, the tide was shifting fast. People were already anticipating the blow-up the third question would bring. Before it even arrived, Obama straightened his tie and turned slightly toward the audience. The truth is, nobody wins when leadership becomes theater. People are exhausted. They want someone who listens, not someone who just gets louder. Trump opened his mouth to interrupt, but his mic popped. Bad timing, not equipment failure. Obama continued smoothly, leadership is service. It's patience. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen. And it's being strong enough to admit when you're wrong. Applause surged. The moderator light flashed, signaling for quiet, but the audience ignored it. Even a few MAGA hats in the front row were clapping. Trump's jaw tightened. You can have your speeches, Barack. People want action, he snapped. Obama responded gently. Actions speak for themselves. And so do their consequences. But no one there could have predicted how quickly consequences would unfold. When the third question finally glowed on the screen behind them, the whole room shifted. The crowd sensed it, the end of round one, the beginning of something far more intense. The tension wasn't loud anymore. It was precise. Tight. Like the quiet right before a storm hits, the question appeared, how should America address its growing political, social, and cultural divides? Trump spoke first. You solve division with strength, he said. You can't unite people who don't respect the country. You remind them who's in charge. That's leadership. That's what I did. He scanned the crowd, almost daring them to disagree. You can't have unity without control. And let's be honest, Obama didn't control anything. Not the border, not the economy, not even his own supporters. The crowd erupted again, part cheers, part angry shouts. The camera cut to Obama, standing completely still, expression unreadable. When the noise finally faded, he spoke softly, but somehow his voice carried further than Trump's had. You don't serve a nation by dividing the people you swear to protect, he said. You don't cure fear by feeding it. He paused, eyes on Trump. And you can't claim unity while deciding who deserves it. Trump laughed, waving him off. Typical. All talk. You had 8 years to fix division, and the country ended up more split than ever. Obama tilted his head. Maybe. Or maybe we revealed what was already there. He let the word settle. You can't heal what you refuse to see. The room fell still again. Even the camera crew froze for a moment. Trump scoffed and turned to the audience. You see what I mean? It's all philosophy with this guy. No action, no results, just lines that sound cute in a Netflix documentary. Obama didn't flinch. Words build worlds, Donald. Yours just tend to set them on fire. A split reaction rolled through the audience, half laughter, half uneasy silence. Obama didn't press it. He simply stood there, steady and unshaken. Trump's face reddened. You act calm, but everyone knows what you're doing, he snapped. You're putting people to sleep. That's not leadership. That's weakness. Obama's smile was small, almost sympathetic. If calm feels like weakness to you, maybe chaos has been mistaken for strength. A few reporters exchanged glances. One whispered, he's not battling for sound bites. He's dissecting him, piece by piece. The next question flashed behind them. What do you believe is America's greatest threat? Trump fired off his answer, weakness. We're losing our edge because people think too much and do too little. We need toughness again. Leaders who don't apologize. Obama took his time. A long breath. A soft exhale. The greatest threat, he said quietly, is forgetting what we owe one another. The room stilled. We've begun treating our neighbors like enemies, he continued. We've turned disagreement into resentment. That's not patriotism. That's decay. Trump smirked. That's sweet, Barack. But you don't run a country on feelings. Obama locked eyes with him. No. But you can destroy one without empathy. The reaction was immediate. A roar of applause. Even some who hadn't clapped all night joined in. Up in the control room, producers exchanged uneasy looks. This wasn't the show they expected. No explosive walk-offs, no shouting match. It was a slow, surgical dismantling. Backstage, Trump's campaign manager went pale. He's getting buried, he muttered. And he doesn't even see it. On stage, Trump shifted his stance, gripping the podium harder. The louder the applause grew, the more desperately he tried to seize the room. Look, he barked, I created jobs. I brought success. I stood up to foreign leaders who took advantage of us. What's he done? Talked. That's it. He talked. Obama's reply was barely above a whisper, and yet here we are. You challenged me, because of how I talk. A hush rippled through the audience. Obama leaned in slightly. Maybe that means you understand more than you admit. Trump's jaw tightened. You know, people used to like me, he snapped. They saw what I was doing. Now they're scared because of lies people like you spread. Obama tilted his head. Truth doesn't scare people, Donald. It just makes them uncomfortable. From somewhere in the back, a single voice shouted, say that again. The audience laughed nervously. Obama didn't repeat himself, he simply looked back at the screen, waiting for the next question. His calm felt magnetic. Trump's anger felt isolating. On social media, timelines exploded. A journalist posted, this isn't a debate. It's a mirror, and one side doesn't like its reflection. Another reporter in the hall whispered, if this keeps up, Trump will implode before we reach the halfway point. Trump leaned forward again, voice rising, you can't hide behind speeches forever, Barack. People want results. Obama's gaze didn't waver. Results, he said softly, are what people live with after the speeches are over. The words hung in the air like smoke. The entire audience inhaled at the same time, waiting. Then the next question appeared, and the mood shifted entirely. Suddenly, this wasn't about policy. It was about character. The massive screen behind them lit up with, what does true leadership look like in a time of crisis? The room held its breath. Trump spoke first. In crisis, leadership means taking charge. You don't wait for perfect information. You act. You make the tough calls. Even when it's unpopular. He scanned the room, becoming sharper. During the pandemic, I made decisions others were too afraid to make. Big decisions. Some didn't like them, but I got results. That's strength. He paused, waiting for applause. Only half the room responded. The other half watched Obama, who hadn't moved. Trump forced a smirk. Barack here loves talking about empathy and feelings. But when the world is burning, feelings won't save you. Action will. Obama finally lifted his eyes that he straightened his mic and spoke in a tone that sliced through the entire hall, quiet, but unmistakably firm. Leadership isn't action for action's sake, he said, it's direction. A ripple stirred the audience. You can move quickly, he continued, and still end up nowhere. The room leaned in a crisis, anyone can panic. Anyone can shout. But real leadership means understanding that the people you serve aren't looking for noise, they're looking for steadiness. Trump cut in, voice climbing, steadiness doesn't feed families. Barack, steadiness doesn't negotiate deals or secure borders. That I kept America first. Obama stared back without blinking. And what happens, he said quietly, when putting yourself first means leaving everyone else behind? The line dropped into the room like a stone hitting deep water. You could almost feel the ripple move through the crowd. Obama let the moment breathe, then continued, his voice low but carrying. I remember a night in 2011. A group of advisors came into the Situation Room after midnight that we were tracking something critical, something that could alter everything. The intel wasn't clean, lives were at stake. And every person in that room looked to me to make the call. The audience fell completely silent, even Trump stopped fidgeting. I sat there thinking how easy it would be to act out of fear, to choose the loud option instead of the right one. But leadership isn't about proving you can pull a trigger fast, that it's about protecting the people who pay the price if you're wrong. He looked out over the crowd, then back at Trump. So I said we wait until we're certain, and that night, waiting saved American lives. A murmur swept through the hall. The realization hit everyone at once that he was talking about the Bin Laden operation. Cameras zoomed in on Trump, his jaw locked tight. Obama went on, effortless and calm. Leadership isn't measured by how loudly you perform when the world is watching, that it's measured by the decisions you make when no one sees you. Applause broke out, soft at first, then swelling, filling every corner of the room. A few red-cap supporters even clapped quietly but sincerely. Trump leaned toward his mic, his voice catching just a little. So what? You're saying I don't know leadership? I built empires, millions follow me. That's leadership. Obama didn't smile. Leadership built on belief alone collapses the moment truth catches up. The camera caught Trump blinking hard, searching for a comeback that wouldn't land. A producer backstage whispered, this is it. He's slipping. Obama stepped forward, not to overpower, but to reach the room more fully. We all lead something. Our families, our teams, our communities, but real leadership begins with listening. If your ego speaks louder than the people you serve, you're not leading, you're performing. The crowd erupted again, louder this time. Phones lit up, timelines exploded with tags like #3RD question, #Meltdown, #Professor-in-Chief. Trump tried to cut in, voice trembling, so you think being calm makes you right? Obama turned toward him. No, he said, soft as a knife, but it helps me stay right. The roar that followed wasn't mockery, it was awe. Composure under fire is its own kind of dominance. Trump looked around, unsettled, searching for someone, anyone, to throw him a lifeline. His team backstage was frozen. There was nothing to script, nothing to spin. For the first time tonight, Obama didn't need another word. He let silence speak for him, a silence that made people think, not recoil. Nearly a full minute passed before the moderator's light blinked for the next topic, but the crowd was still on its feet, clapping. Even Trump supporters couldn't deny what they were witnessing. Calm logic dismantling rage in real time. Obama finally leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. You can talk about power all night, but history honors restraint. But what followed wasn't restraint. It was resistance. Trump wasn't finished, and his anger was about to ignite in front of millions watching live. The moment the third question closed, the air shifted, not the electricity Trump's team anticipated, something else. Obama had seized not just the argument, but the emotional rhythm of the room. People weren't responding to what he said anymore. They were responding to how he existed on that stage, steady, unshaken, immune. Trump, meanwhile, was coming apart in slow motion, not in blowing up, in the tiny tells, the clenched jaw, the too tight grip on the podium, the smirk collapsing into a grimace. Then the next question glowed across the screen. What should be the role of truth in leadership? Trump pounced immediately, sharper than before. Truth, he said, is perspective. The media lies every day. People twist your words and then pretend you're the villain. That I tell the truth, people actually live. That I don't sugarcoat it like some folks here. He shot a sideways look at Obama. You were the king of polished lies. 8 years of speeches. 8 years of promises. And what happened? We got weaker. That's the truth. Some applause, thin, uneven. Obama didn't flinch. That he simply waited, letting Trump's words bounce off the walls and fade. Then he leaned in, voice calm and razor clean. Truth isn't determined by who yells at the loudest. That it's determined by who can stand beside it when no one's applauding. He paused, letting the quiet settle. If truth becomes whatever benefits us in the moment, then it's not truth. It's branding. The line stirred a wave of murmurs across the hall. Reporters began hammering at their keyboards. Someone whispered, "That's the line of the night." Trump scoffed, "There you go again, talking like a professor. People don't want lectures. They want results." Obama allowed a small smile. Results built on falsehoods collapse faster than applause. Trump's cheeks reddened. "So you think you're better than me?" He snapped. Obama's tone never shifted. "I think leadership isn't about being better. It's about being accountable." Another eruption of applause. This time it went on long enough that the audio crew worried the levels might spike. Backstage, Trump's campaign manager, Victor Haynes, paced like a man watching a fire spread. "He's losing them," Victor muttered. "If he keeps yelling over him, it's going to look desperate." But Trump couldn't hold back. He barked again, louder, "You had your shot, Barack. You failed. You let people down, and now you sit here acting like some political wise man. You left a mess behind." Obama waited until Trump burned through every word, then said, quiet as breath, "And yet, somehow you still can't stop talking about me." The room detonated, gasps, laughter, applause, all at once. Even the cameras caught audience members covering their mouths. Trump froze for a second, a flicker of confusion crossing his face before anger settled back in. He jabbed a finger across the stage. "You think this is funny?" Obama studied him for a moment. "No," he said finally, "I think it's sad that public service has been turned into theater." Silence slammed the room shut. Trump tried to respond, but the words tangled. You made it theater, you and your speeches, your followers." Obama didn't interrupt. He let silence carry the weight. Finally he said, "If people listen to me, it's because I talked about them, not myself." That was the breaking point. The crowd erupted, standing, cheering, whistling, faces lit with surprise, admiration, maybe even relief. For a moment, Trump's expression slipped, like someone realizing the spotlight he built was now exposing him. "I in the control room," a director whispered, "we're watching history. He's being taken apart live." Another question flashed onto the screen, but it almost didn't matter. The audience had already shifted. Every time Trump raised his voice, they leaned away. Every time Obama spoke softly, they leaned in. Trump began pacing behind his podium. "You know what? The media will twist this anyway," he growled. "They'll cut it up and claim Obama won. I don't care. I've done more for this country than anyone since Lincoln." Obama arched a brow, amused. "Then maybe history will treat you more kindly than the facts." The room cracked with laughter, not cruel, but relieved, like pressure finally escaping. Trump slammed his palm onto the podium. "This is a setup. Everyone sees it." Obama stayed perfectly still. He didn't need to move. The contrast said everything, one man shouting for attention, the other commanding it without trying. A young reporter in the front row murmured, "He's not debating, he's giving a masterclass in composure." Online, the storm was already raging. Clips of Trump erupting versus Obama pausing were going viral within seconds. Headlines began forming. "Obama outclasses Trump in unfiltered showdown." Then the final question of the round appeared. "What advice would you give future leaders watching tonight?" Trump leaned forward, sweating under the lights. "Don't listen to guys like him," he snapped. "Go big. Fight hard. Never let anyone make you feel small. That's how you win." Obama waited for the noise to settle before speaking. "My advice," he said gently, "is that winning and leading are not the same thing, and often, the loudest person in the room is the one most afraid." Silence wrapped the hall. Even the camera operators froze. Obama didn't smile, didn't gloat. He simply looked across the stage and then back to the crowd. "Leaders aren't remembered for how much noise they made," he said softly. "They're remembered for how much light they left behind." But the light that night wasn't done shifting. The next phase of the debate would reveal more than pride, that it would challenge both men in ways no script could have predicted. By the seventh question, this wasn't a debate anymore, it was a reckoning. Trump's earlier swagger had thinned into irritation, and irritation was sliding toward desperation. Obama, steady as ever, seemed completely untouched. Every attempt Trump made to rattle him fell away like water on glass. The next prompt appeared: name one policy you stand behind completely, one you defend under oath. A simple question, but one that pierced straight through credibility. Trump seized the microphone. Easy, he said. I stand by everything I did for the economy: record stock market, low unemployment, real energy independence, manufacturing jobs back. Everybody knows it. He turned to the audience, sweeping his hands wide as if carving his words into the air. The numbers speak for themselves. Nobody did it better. Not Obama, not Bush, nobody. A pocket of applause sounded on one side, but it didn't travel. Most people held still. They had learned that Obama's silence always meant something was about to land. When Trump finally stepped back from the mic, Obama leaned in slightly. You said the facts speak for themselves, he began, then let's hear them. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small, worn piece of paper, not a prop, but something clearly kept, folded and refolded many times. He opened it slowly. During your presidency, Obama said, job growth averaged 1.3% a year. Under mine, it averaged 1.7. Murmurs rippled through the audience. As for manufacturing, your term saw a loss of 200,000 jobs. Ours added nearly 500,000. Trump's eyes shot toward his staff backstage. The crowd buzzed louder. Obama continued, calm as ever. You claimed energy independence as your achievement, but the policies that built it began in 2014, before you took office, most of which your administration reversed. Gasps replaced murmurs. Trump thrust a finger at him. Fake. Those are fake numbers. Total cherry picking. Obama looked up, unfazed. They're from your own Department of Labor, Donald. The room cracked open. Half laughing, half stunned, phones lifted everywhere, social feeds ignited, hashtag fact check Obama, hashtag Trump cornered, hashtag Professor-in-Chief. Trump snapped back. I spent 4 years fighting lies and bureaucracy. You had 8 years to hide behind them. You can't compare that. Obama nodded. You're right. We can't compare what wasn't done. Sharp applause hit like a slap. Several audience members stood. Trump flushed deeper. You don't understand business. You never did. You've been a politician your whole life. Obama tilted his head. And you ran businesses your whole life, and still filed 6 bankruptcies. So maybe we both learn from mistakes. The room erupted. Laughter, claps, stunned reactions. Even the press area shook. Camera operators struggled to hold steady shots. Trump tried shouting over the noise. You think this is funny? Standing here with a rigged crowd and biased cameras? Obama waited until the chaos died, then, softly, no, I think it's difficult to lead when you confuse attention with respect. A hush fell so deeply you could hear someone shift in the upper balcony. Say it again. Someone called from above. Obama didn't repeat it. That he didn't need to. The line was already carved into the moment. Backstage, Victor Haynes buried his face in his hands. It's done, he muttered. He's not debating. He's unraveling. On the split-screen broadcast, the contrast was brutal. Trump, red-faced and shouting, Obama, composed, lowering the temperature with every sentence. The next question appeared. How do you define accountability in leadership? Trump jumped in. Accountability. I'm here, aren't I? I show up. I take the hits. That I don't hide behind committees and excuses like Obama. People respect that. Obama nodded as if accepting the premise. Showing up matters, he said, but accountability is what happens afterward. He leaned in, eyes on Trump. When you say something untrue and people believe you, that's not strength, that's responsibility, because they're trusting you, and once that trust breaks, no speech, no tweet, no rally can repair it. Silence, then applause thundered in from every side. Even the moderators exchanged looks. Trump slammed his palm on the podium. You're so self-righteous, like you never made mistakes. Obama didn't budge. I've made plenty. The difference is, I admitted them. Another wave of applause. This one lasted. Trump's breathing grew shallow. He scanned the hall as if searching for a familiar face, but even his usual supporters stayed quiet. Obama turned to the audience, voice soft. Leaders aren't judged by how they handle success. They're judged by how they respond when things fall apart, and who they blame when they do. People rose to their feet, you could hear whispers of, "Wow," and "This is historic." Trump stared ahead, frozen, his hand hovering near the mic but unable to move. Obama took one last breath. The truth doesn't need defending, that it only needs time. But the room's patience was thinning, especially Trump's, that he was moments away from snapping in a way that would define the night. By the eighth question, the shift was no longer subtle. It was seismic. The debate wasn't about politics anymore. It had become a study in two versions of power, Obama's quiet, steady command versus Trump's fire without aim. Then the next prompt appeared. What does compassion mean in leadership? Trump exhaled sharply, gripping the podium. Compassion, he scoffed, it's nice in theory, but compassion doesn't keep a country strong. You can care all you want, but if people walk all over you, you lose. A sprinkle of applause, thin, scattered. 8 years of softness, weakness, he barked. I came in and people respected America again. That's compassion, protecting your own first. He snapped his gaze to Obama. You cared more about how we looked to the world. Obama paused, letting Trump's accusation hang in the air. Then he lifted his eyes slowly. You're asking if I cared more about how we looked to the world than what Americans were living through, he repeated quietly. He glanced down for a beat, then looked straight back up, voice softer, but sharper for it. I've never believed compassion and strength cancel each other out, he said. Real strength isn't measured by how much power you accumulate, it's measured by how much pain you're willing to shoulder for other people without breaking. The room stilled. He went on, I met a mother in Oklahoma once. A tornado had taken everything, her husband, her home, every memory she had in pictures. She told me, Mr. President, I don't need another promise. I just need to know we're not forgotten. He looked over at Trump. That's compassion. Not talking. Not policy. Presence. The audience erupted, not just clapping, but reacting. Some cheered, some wiped tears. Trump leaned into his mic, voice tightening. You're great at stories, Barack. But stories don't build countries. Action does. Obama didn't blink. Actions without empathy destroy them quicker, he said. The words rolled through the auditorium like a low vibration. Even the journalist stopped typing mid-sentence. A woman stood up and clapped once, quickly sitting again. Others followed. Trump, noticing the shift, tried to regain footing. All this emotion makes great TV, he said. But while I was in office, I got things done. People respected me. They still do. Obama's expression softened. Respect built on fear never lasts, Donald, he replied. It disappears the moment people stop being afraid. The crowd murmured with a quiet, stunned sound. Trump jabbed a finger across the stage. You always think you're the moral compass. But you divided this country. So don't act like some saint. Obama shook his head. I'm no saint. I'm someone who learned that unity never comes from pretending we all agree. It comes from remembering we're part of the same story. The room changed. People didn't clap right away, they sat in it. Absorbing it. When the applause came, it was warm, heavy, whole. Cameras caught faces, some smiling gently, some just frozen, absorbing. Trump shifted behind his podium, visibly rattled. That's the problem with you, he snapped. You make people feel instead of think. Obama met his stare. Maybe we needed more of that. The moderators said nothing. Backstage, Victor Haynes whispered, he's not debating, he's delivering a sermon without calling it one, and they're eating it up. A producer muttered, Trump's shouting into the wind. Obama's speaking into the room. Trump slammed his palm against the podium. This whole thing is staged. Half these people are your fans. It's fake. Obama turned to the audience. The truth doesn't require a crowd, he said gently. It finds one on its own. Laughter mixed with applause. People rose again. Trump's team waved frantically off camera, but he ignored them, face flushed, voice cracking slightly. You act so cool, so perfect, he yelled. But people are sick of your smooth talk. They want results. Obama didn't flinch. Results are what people live with long after leadership is gone. That's why words matter, because they're what remain. Trump scoffed. You and your speeches. You actually believe all that, don't you? Obama nodded once every word. The crowd rose again, this time not in excitement, but relief. Years of division and noise cracked open into something else. Calm. Grace. Clarity. Even those who disliked him couldn't deny what was happening. Obama wasn't debating anymore, he was standing inside the storm without moving. Trump scanned the crowd, jaw tight. The cheers weren't for him, and he knew it. Meanwhile, online, the moment exploded, tweets flashed, Obama's calm is unreal. Trump finally hit silence. This is leadership. The dynamic had flipped entirely. The man who arrived ready to dominate the stage was now clinging to it. But what came after, the moments when the cameras stopped, would define how long this night would echo. The debate ended without ceremony. No handshake. No forced smiles. No final remarks. The cameras pulled back as both men walked off. In opposite directions, the audience, still processing, hesitated, then applauded as if witnessing something historic. Obama didn't wait for reporters. He walked down the narrow backstage hall, Secret Service behind him. Stagehands nodded quietly. He nodded back. A producer hurried toward him. Would you like to speak to the press outside? No need, Obama said calmly. The country saw what it needed to. He stepped out the side exit into the cool Washington night. A black SUV waited. From where he stood, he could still faintly hear the crowd inside. He looked up at the streetlights, and exhaled. A faint, almost unreadable smile crossed Obama's face. Back inside the convention hall, the energy was the opposite, tight, frantic, chaotic. Trump's team was unraveling. Victor Haynes, his campaign manager, stalked across the floor with a phone clamped to his ear. No, don't spin it yet, he snapped. Cut clips of the interruptions. Use the moments he pushed back. Make him look strong. In the green room, Trump slouched in a chair, jacket off, tie hanging loose. He stared at the muted replay on the TV screen, his own reflection staring back at him, older, tired, shaken. They edited that wrong, he muttered. That applause wasn't real. They rigged the audience. Victor hung up and approached carefully. It was live, sir. Trump's eyes narrowed, then the cameras were fake. The crowd was fake. Something was off. Victor hesitated. It wasn't the crowd. It was the contrast. Trump said nothing. The word hung in the air like smoke. Outside, reporters crowded the press barricades, voices overlapping in a storm of questions. Is this the end of Trump's dominance? Has Obama redefined debate in America? What happens next after this historic confrontation? Every major network switched to panel coverage within minutes. Clips of Obama's calm responses and Trump's outbursts played endlessly. Analysts dissected every exchange point. One MSNBC commentator said, Obama didn't debate him, he dismantled him. Even a Fox panelist sighed, this was a rough night, even for Trump supporters. Online, hashtags took over, hashtag Obama owned, hashtag third question meltdown, hashtag leadership is calm. TikTok remixes flooded timelines, Obama's one-liners set to dramatic orchestral drops, memes exploded everywhere, Trump shouting while Obama stood motionless, captioned, when you bring a microphone to a chess match. But the internet wasn't entirely united. Some of Trump's loyalists defended him. He was strong. He fought back. But even those posts felt shaky, uncertain. For the first time in years, the story wasn't Trump's to control. In a small Kansas City diner, highlights played on a mounted TV, patrons leaned forward, forks suspended in midair. He looked angry. A man murmured, Obama didn't even blink. A woman replied softly, that's what hit me. The calm. Like he'd waited years to say all that, and didn't need to raise his voice. Across the country, families who rarely agreed on politics found themselves watching together, parents explaining who Obama was, why this moment felt different. It wasn't about parties anymore. It was about tone, about decency, about what leadership was supposed to feel like. Trump's team scrambled to regain control. Just after midnight, a post appeared on his social platform, we crushed the fake debate tonight. Obama is all talk. Real America knows the truth. But the post didn't trend. Not this time. Cable reruns kept looping through the night. By sunrise, Obama's closing words: leaders aren't remembered for the noise they make, but for the light they leave behind, had been replayed more than 200 times across major stations. Even conservative hosts quoted it, grudgingly acknowledging its power. At dawn, Obama's team released a single message: leadership is service. The rest speaks for itself. No interviews. No celebrations, just that. Trump, by contrast, phoned into a morning show, voice exhausted, but stubborn. The whole thing was a setup. Slanted questions. Bad lighting. Obama rehearsed every line. Nobody could have won. But the host didn't play along. Maybe the issue wasn't the lighting, Mr. Trump, she said gently, maybe it was the listening. The clip went viral before the show ended. In Washington, opinion pieces poured in. The Atlantic wrote, for 90 minutes, America remembered what composure under pressure looks like. Politico added, this debate didn't just shift perception, it reopened a conversation about leadership itself. Even the foreign press weighed in. A London headline read, Obama reminds America who still commands the room. In Los Angeles, a group of college students watched a replay projected on a dorm wall. Think it changes anything? One asked. Maybe not today, another replied. But people felt something tonight. That's how change starts, when someone reminds you what truth sounds like. Back in D.C., Obama sat by the window of his hotel suite, city lights dim, streets quiet. His phone buzzed with praise, analysis, congratulations. He ignored them. He gazed out at the skyline and whispered to himself, grace wins slow, but it wins. He turned off the lamp, but as dawn rose over Washington, it became clear this wasn't just a viral moment. Something had reopened, something the country hadn't asked itself in years. What kind of leader do we truly want? Morning settled over the Capitol gently. The city felt subdued, like it was coming to terms with a moment it didn't fully understand yet. Newsstands ran out of papers before noon. Every front page carried the same image: Trump frozen mid-sentence, Obama standing still, expression calm. Almost serene. The Washington Post headline read, a debate becomes a defining moment. And across the airwaves, left, right, and center all agreed, reluctantly or not, Obama hadn't just outperformed Trump. He had dismantled the entire spectacle. His stillness had become the story.